Hey guys, this is a multi-character ex-listener. I hope you enjoy. The characters are Hawks, Dabi, Shigaraki, Aizawa, Bakugou, and Todoroki. So I hope you enjoy. My Discord server is down below in the description. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. Hawks knew he had messed up big time with that last argument you guys had. He tried to convince you to quit being a hero because he was afraid you would get hurt with all the recent Nomon attacks. But you didn't listen. You wanted to continue your hero work no matter what, since that was your passion. You guys had a huge argument about Hawks when you stayed at home, but you didn't, which led to you getting in your car and driving away some way. Hawks started flying through the city trying to find you, but he had no clue where you were. It already had been 2 weeks since he last saw you. He knew that argument had been a big mistake. He shouldn't have tried to stop you from being a hero, but it was too late. The damage was already done, and he didn't know what this would do to your guys' relationship, since you were always a very independent woman and didn't like any people telling you what to do. Hawks knew this, and still he tried to convince you. Right now, you are in a hotel near your hero agency because you had nowhere to go. Your psychic had tried to convince you to talk with Hawks about the whole situation, but you didn't listen. You didn't like him trying to impose things on you. You always thought that he would listen when you said you wanted to be a hero, and no matter what, support you. Your assistant told you had a meeting with some pro-hero agencies this afternoon. Little did you know that Hawks' agency was one of them. At the meeting, you saw Endeavor, Best Jeans, and finally Hawks. You were about to storm out, but you maintained your composure because of your hero agency. The meeting went by, and Hawks spent the whole time looking at you. You just always sent a glare towards his way. At the end, Hawks grabbed your wrist and pulled you one of the individual offices, and he said, "Kid, I know I messed up big time, and I'm sorry. I love you too much to let you go. Please, just listen to me." You only backed away and said, "Kiego, that's enough. I'm pissed at you. You understand what you asked me. You asked me to leave my whole career." He went a little closer to you and said, "I know, it was bad of me. I shouldn't have tried to do that. I'm so sorry." "Kiego, you can't just do that. That's my whole life. You know that? And I love you too much, and I appreciate you to be worried for me. But..." You were interrupted by a kiss on your lips. You guys started kissing, and it took a couple of minutes for you guys to back away. He continued, "Yuan, I know I did something wrong. I apologize. But you are the star in my life. You are all for me. Please, don't leave me. Give me a second chance. I promise I will not do anything like that again. I promise. I love you too much." You kissed him again and said, "Well, I forgive you, but this is your only chance. Don't mess up." He only gave you a hug and whispered in your ear, "Kid, I love you too much to mess up. You are the most perfect woman in this world. I'll be crazy." You thought that you were happy you gave him this second chance. Dabi was furious with you, but mostly with himself. You guys already had a huge fight because of his jealousy attacks. You were talking with Shigaraki at the bar, and since Shigaraki and you get along, he didn't like that. You guys are always very friendly, and he feels that Shigaraki can steal you away from him anytime. That's why he dragged you into his room and you guys had a huge fight because Dabi wanted you to cut your friendship with Shigaraki. But you didn't like that since you and Shigaraki known each other before you met Dabi. He was furious and you just stormed off, went somewhere he didn't know. He tried looking for you, but Toga insisted he give her a rest. "Dabi, you know she's angry. She's gonna get worse. Just go back to your room, and when she's ready to talk, you guys will talk." He admitted that Toga was right, even though he didn't want to. He just sighed in defeat and went back to his room. 2 hours later, you enter his room with an angry look and gave him a kiss. You continued. Dabi, you can't just get jealous because of that. You know, Shigaraki has helped me a lot during my life, and you can just get angry. He pulled you in for a hug and said, I know what I did wasn't the best. I know you guys are friends, and even though I don't like that, I will have to accept it. You look into your boyfriend's eyes and said, Dabi, imagine if Shigaraki hadn't insisted on me to join the league. We would have never met. Mainly he's the reason we met, and actually, I'm glad because I love you, and I don't want to lose you, but you can't get jealous like that. He sighed, but you knew he cared too much about you to refuse. I know, you're my doll, and you're always gonna be there for me. So, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have acted like a jerk. You nodded your head and gave him a kiss. Well, I guess I can give you a second chance. He chuckled and pulled you back into his chest. You know you love me way too much not to give me one. Even though Shigaraki didn't want to admit it, he knew he made you mad, and he knew it was from a stupid reason. You were a hero, and he couldn't change that. He fell in love with a hero, and even though he wanted you to quit your job and became a villain, you didn't want that. He knew it was a selfish request, knowing that you could turn him in any moment. But he loved you too much, and that's why, after your patrol, you went to the league and he pulled you into his room. He said, Yuan, you need to quit being a hero if you want to continue this relationship, you know? And with just that phrase, your whole relationship could have ended very badly if he didn't try to talk to you. You had just stormed out of the room and shouted at him to go to hell. You were in your apartment and he knew that, so he decided to give you a visit. He tried getting into the front door, but he couldn't, it was locked. So he tried his lock through the window, knowing you always left it unlocked. When he entered your house, he headed to your room and knocked on the door. You were confused when you heard a knock. You're supposed to be alone. You decided to be careful and do not answer. When he did not answer, he decided to enter, to just receive a punch in the face. He said, Ouch, Yuan, what is wrong with you? You look at him in disbelief. Well, how was I supposed to know it was you? You entered unannounced. What do you want? He pulled you close and said, I'm sorry, Yuan. I know I messed up really bad when I told you to quit being a hero. I know you like your job, and I know you like helping people, but you know I hate heroes. I love you too much. That's the only reason I don't kill you, you know. You look up at your boyfriend and said, Shigaraki, I love you too much, but I will not quit being a hero. You know I just do it because I want to help people, and nothing more. But I do love you, so I don't want this relationship to end. He nodded his head and said, Second chance? You gave him a kiss in response, and he felt like the luckiest man on earth to have such a wonderful girlfriend. Aizawa was looking for his wife at a hero gala. You had stormed off after an argument you guys had. You were actually excited for this gala because all the new opportunities to work with other pro heroes. But your husband didn't like this because he didn't like all the other heroes staring at his beautiful wife. All the heroes were checking you out, and he didn't like that. He pulled you aside, and you guys had a huge argument about how he wanted to go home, and that you shouldn't have worn that dress, and he was very mad. You had just turned off crying, and he felt guilty. He loved you too much, and he didn't like seeing his wife like that. He found you crying, hugged by Midnight. She was consoling you. Midnight stood up and walked towards Aizawa and said, Eraser, you better fix this. She's such a sweetheart. I don't want to see her like this, okay? He nodded his head and walked over to you. He sat on the ground next to you and tried to hug you, but you refused. And he started. Yuan, you know I love you. And I know I shouldn't get my jealousy like that. I know it was my fault, and I know you're a strong, capable hero. But you know I love you, and I didn't mean it. You are all to me. If you weren't here, I couldn't manage the stress Wanegi gives me. You are the only one who keeps me sane, okay? With you, my life will be nothing. You were surprised by his words. He wasn't the affectionate type, but with the words he just said, you knew he was sorry. You pulled your husband in for a kiss and said, Honey, I forgive you. You deserve a second chance. I know your jealousy can get the worst of you, but you know I'm only yours. I love you. I love you too, Yuan. You guys kissed, and you could feel like this was a night to remember. Bakugou was angry. He knew it wasn't your fault. He knew you weren't the one to blame for this. It was all his fault. Even with his huge pride, he had to admit this was his fault. He had left the love of his life run away from him after training. He had just had a fight with Todoroki and he lost. He was pissed, and when you went to tell him if he was right, he screamed at you and you started crying. You weren't usually the sensitive type, all the contrary, but these few days you had a lot of stress, and he knew that, and he felt guilty. He tried looking for you all around the school, but he couldn't find you. So he decided to ask your best friend Uraraka to see if you were alright. When he approached her, the small girl just gave him a glare and said, Don't even try going near Yuan. You hurt her. It wasn't her fault, you know. Bakugou scoffed and said, Round face, I know it wasn't her fault. I feel guilty, okay? I just want to see her to apologize, okay? Uraraka told the explosive boy that you were at your dorm. When he got there, he saw Deku and you standing by your door. He was mad, but he tried to keep his cool. He just went near and said, Nerd, go away, I need to talk to Yuan. Deku just nodded and waved you goodbye. Bakugou pulled you into your room and said, Babe, I'm sorry. I got mad. It wasn't your fault. I just was mad with damn Icy Hot. He beat me because he used his fire quirk. Well, I'm happy he used his fire quirk. But I'm sorry. I shouldn't reacted like that. But he stopped because he felt soft lips pressing to his. You guys kissed for a while and then you pull back. It's fine. I'll give you a second chance. But if you messed up again like that because it wasn't my fault, I will kick your ass. He hugged you and said, In your dreams, babe, but thank you. Todoroki and you didn't usually fight. You were a good couple, but he had a huge argument with his dad, and he was in a bad mood. You tried to cheer him up, but it only got him mad since he wanted to be alone. He screamed at you to shut up, and you went out of the room very furious. He saw you very mad. You were usually a nice girl, but when you got angry, you were someone not to be messed with. You locked yourself in your dorm and didn't went out for dinner. You avoided him at school the next day. Even though he tried talking to you, you gave him the silent treatment. He didn't like this. He needed you in your life. You were like the sun in his life. So he decided to make a big gesture for you to forgive him. He bought your favorite flowers, got your favorite movies, and bought you tons of ice cream. He went to your dorm and knocked on the door. When you opened it and saw him, you were about to shut it before he took your hand in his and said, Yuan, can we please talk? I need you in my life, and I don't want to lose you. You let the boy in your room, and he said, I know I messed up, and I apologize. You are all for me, and I don't want to lose you for some stupid reason. That was totally my fault. I was angry and I shouldn't have reacted like that. I know it was my fault. It was all my fault. I'm sorry. You hugged him and said, It wasn't all your fault. I should have let you alone when you were angry. You said you wanted space. I'm sorry I got so mad. I love you so much and I cannot see my life without you. He smiled and kissed your forehead and said, Well, Yuan, will you give me a second chance? You nodded and hugged your boyfriend.